Well, hey everybody, Mickey with Carry Trainer. Me and Berto are out at the Antique Arms Show in Las Vegas. You will hear about this being the oldest running show of any kind in Las Vegas's history. We're actually going to show you a gentleman over here that has been here for every single show in the same booth, I believe 61 years. We're going to walk around with my friend who's the curator at the NRA Museum. He's just going to show us some cool stuff. We're actually going to show you one of only 13 revolvers ever made by the Winchester Corporation. It's back there in a spinny glass box, pretty dang cool, and a couple other amazing firearms. So why don't we go show you something a little different today? Let's go on a trip. Check it out. Hey guys, exciting visit today. We're at SHOT Show 2025 and we walk down the street. We're at the West Gate and we're with my friend Phil Schreier, Museum Curator Director for NRA.
Absolutely.
And you just told me a cool piece of historical information. This is...
Well, you wouldn't know it for the lack of feathers and showgirls, but this Antique Arms Show is Las Vegas's oldest continuously running show. It's been going on for 65 years or so. And this is the 29th annual NRA National Gun Collector Show, which the Las Vegas Antique Arms Show is hosting for us. So, yeah, they do this once a year. It's considered the best antique arms show. We have a partial to Baltimore in the east. But between the two of them, you got all your bases covered as far as the finest dealers, the finest collectors in the in the realm of the gun world.
So you don't come here to buy like a beat up 870 pump?
You could, but that's probably not where most of the guys are geared. I'm looking for a Model 2 Burnside carbine personally.
Okay.
So and I'm likely to find it in a place like this, and that's the important thing.
So people come, they buy, they sell, showcase for their stores or their...
Right, and this is the first, so for 65 years, almost as long, NRA has, through our annual meetings, hosted the curator, or the collector's corner of the NRA annual meetings and exhibits. So they compete for trophies and silver medals at the annual meetings as a club. Here, they do it as an individual. It's the first time NRA recognizes an individual collector instead of a collective club. So this is the richest show in the country for display money.
Oh, wow.
We give out $10,000.
Wow.
And Morphe's is very generous and co-sponsoring that with us. So we're very fortunate to have them as a host for not only the show, but the awards program as well.
Very cool. So we're going to head to your booth?
Yeah, we'll go to my booth. I'll show you some of the awards, and we'll point out, if you don't mind doing a walk and talk, I'll point out some of the things. Yeah. So this is one of the numerous ballrooms that is part of the show.
Okay.
So we have the knife and sword.
I saw that.
Yeah, that's part of this. We have the Firearms Engravers Guild of America.
So this is like, I would say a dying art, but it seems like it's coming back now, like seeing younger dudes learning that.
Yeah, and if you want, I mean, like you can look over here at the Winchester. So the Winchester's Arm Collectors Association, one of NRA's affiliated clubs, one of our oldest affiliated clubs, they have their very own section here at the show, and it's all Winchesters and Winchester exhibits. In fact, 2 years running, the Winchester Club has won the Best of Show Award. But you look right at one of these tables here.
Let's walk over and take a look at something.
This Winchester here is, this 86 is made. And let's see, does it say?
$75,000.
So you've got till 9 o'clock to set up. I tell you what, you can have a gun. You can have, like, let's say you have a Winchester 1895.
Okay.
And it's just what we call a great gun. It's got character, right? No finish. And you might pay $700, $1,200 for a gray 95 Winchester. But one phone call, one email to this lovely lady, Jessie over here, and Cody. And I can turn that $700 gun into a $70,000 gun. And that's because all the records at Winchester at the Cody Firearms Museum. So you can see from these ledger pages.
We'll take a look. Show me something.
You can see from these ledger pages, and it says to you know what day they were shipped, how they were engraved, what the configuration of the stock was, the barrel length, the caliber. So that way, you know if you've got something and it just doesn't smell right, you can confirm all the features on the gun by becoming a member of the Cody Firearms Museum, and you get the ability to trace records. Just like a Colt, you could also write the Colt, pay for a letter, and it'll tell you who it was shipped to and on what day.
You guys got crates of old handwritten
Huge
paper
ledgers, huge book
crazy.
ledgers, yeah. But like Colt, you know, you never know, you might get Buffalo Bill's revolver in the ledger. And it's happened. People have called up, I've called up. I've run things through Springfield Research. I found out that a carbine that I had was sent to George Armstrong Custer's brother, Boston, who died with him at the Little Bighorn.
And we call all of this story of the gun what? What's the
just provenance.
provenance?
Yeah, and it makes a huge difference. Now, you gotta be careful. As my great late Uncle Val Forget used to say.
That's a great name, Val Forget.
Val Forget, founder Navy Arms, and and he used to say, buy the gun, don't buy the story. Because in my 35 years of museum experience, 999 stories on 1,000 guns are nonsense.
Just stuff that
Somebody-
family lore that got made
Somebody's going to say, "Oh, I found this, and it was Abraham Lincoln." and
I got two of those.
well, we do. We have one, and I'm like, "No, it's not." But
Right. Here's the axe that he chopped the tree down with, that Washington chopped the tree down with.
yeah. And so this is something where you can come to research your gun. A lot of folks say, "Oh man, if only that gun could talk." So this
How
is
did you get into museum curating? We
Actually-
did a podcast with you years ago, and we talked about that, but it's been a while.
Yeah, it was an accident. I'd gone down to the NRA Museum as a little kid in 8th grade, and saw it, and then I wanted to get a job at NRA, and every year I would go down there and get a bunch of stuff to take to summer camp.
Okay.
To run the rifle range at camp. And one summer I went down there to do that, and they said, "Hey, how about a job on the weekends?" And I was like, I really don't want to work the weekends. And a buddy of mine that I was working with at the time, he said, "We need to grow up and get real jobs, and you never know where it's going to lead. You don't know where it's going to end up." And so I took his advice. I got the part-time job on the weekend. 6 weeks I was full-time. 6 months I was an assistant curator. 35 years ago, I'm now the director.
That's cool.
6 months after I got the job, I got promoted, and I told my buddy, "Hey, Mark, why don't you come and take my job?" He goes, "I don't want to work the weekend." I go, "We got to grow up. We got to get real jobs. Who knows where it's going to lead?" Your words exactly. He goes, "Okay." Now Mark is the senior editorial director of all of NRA publications, and he's NRA's main spokesperson and PR media liaison.
What's Mark's last name?
Keith.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I've met Mark before.
So we both 35 years, known him since he was 11 years old.
That's cool.
And that's how we got started. I just got lucky. I wanted to go into ILA and be a lobbyist. I had no idea that museum work could be so cool and fulfilling.
I love this stuff.
I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
This is daunting. So, like, here's a question. So, I've been hunting for 03 Springfield that I
Right.
can actually shoot and have fun with. You know,
Yeah.
not something that I'm scared to touch. How would you find that?
So
You used to find them in barrels in the back of
Right.
gun stores.
yeah, so here you would go and find an 03 to start with, and they're here. There's plenty of them, and then we would. This is Cheryl. Cheryl Goida from Murphy's.
Hey, Cheryl.
Hi.
Morphy's,
I'm
not
Mickey.
Murphy's.
Lovely show.
She's our host.
So you did tons of work the last
Oh
couple
my
of months.
gosh.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
can't do it alone. I've got
Sure.
lots of help here.
So this is like the day before the wedding for you.
Well, I think that's over. More like Thanksgiving dinner. It'll be
Okay.
over so fast after all the preparation.
Sure, sure.
But, yeah.
She is the founder of the feast and has been our gracious and generous host for 5 years now, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see this place.
Yeah, walk around, have fun.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the show. Thanks.
So you go look for an 03, and there's basically two main types of a Springfield 03. There's the World War I and the World War II. So there's the 03 and then the 03 A3. So the World War I one is easy to note because the rear sight is a long ladder sight forward of the receiver. The World War II one, the A3, has a aperture rear sight on the back of the receiver.
Okay.
There's all kinds of stock differences in stamp versus forged metal,
Go
differences.
deep into the weeds of that.
Yeah. On the World War I ones, you want to make sure that it's below serial number 1 million if you want to shoot it. Because there was a heat treat issue with Springfields and Rock Island Arsenal Springfields on whether or not the receivers would stand up to the heat treat.
Okay.
Now, the super secret story behind that is American GIs, we were on the imperial system and still are. So 30-06 means 0.30 of an inch. The Germans were on metric, millimeter. They shot an 8mm bullet, the Mauser. That's pretty darn close to 30 caliber. There were a lot of tales going on that the Americans were fighting the Germans while paying them a royalty for use of this Mauser patents on our Springfield. It was kind of true, but not on the actual design or the caliber. But to the average GI, if you took a 30-06 and an 8mm and set them side by side, you can't visually tell the difference. So guys were using 8mm thinking it was the same cartridge. You got to remember, this is 1917.
Sure, over
right?
100 years ago.
They can't Google this nonsense.
Right, right,
It's just
right.
a lot of it's word of mouth. And
And even then, Google's now it's got so much misinformation
Yeah.
too.
So there were a lot of failed guns in 1895 Winchesters and 1903 Springfields because they were using the wrong ammunition. The shoulder chamber, the whole thing's different.
Okay.
So they went and double heat treated the receivers so that they wouldn't blow up anymore.
Okay.
There are not all that many instances of it happening to begin with. We have firearms and accoutrements for sale and display. Now, Greg Martin.
Hi, Greg.
Hi.
Greg's been in the business longer than anybody in the room, I would imagine.
Greg, I'm Mickey Schuch. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Mickey.
And this, how long have you been here at this show? 50 years
Since it started,
since it started. So
about 61 of two.
yeah, 60 years. Greg has through his
You've
hand.
never missed a show?
No, he's always been this
Always
table,
been
front,
here.
front door. Through his hands have been some of the finest guns that any collector in the country have ever purchased. Bob Peterson, whose collection we're fortunate to have at the museum. A great deal of Bob's guns came through Greg in his auction house and his personal. So you'll find guys like Greg, which have been here for 60 years, all for Nimsky engraved Winchesters, God bless us. Colts, 62 police with the 100% color case hardening on it. I mean, you just don't find stuff like Greg comes up with and so many others
You
that are
should
here.
have seen the set I sold earlier.
Did you? Last year he had General Grant's pistols here for sale.
General Grant's.
Yeah.
How do you part with something like that? How do you not develop like a bad habit of just keeping all this
Well, I
stuff?
keep some stuff. for
Yeah, I
a
mean, I'm sure
while.
you got to make money. You're in business,
Well,
but
I keep it turning over. People have asked me, how in the hell did you get all this stuff? I said, by selling it.
Yeah.
how'd you get started?
Keep learning. How I got started when I was about 12. I went with my mother to a junk store.
Okay.
She was looking for a chair or some goddamn thing.
Where are you from, Greg?
Northern California.
Okay.
Up on a nail was a cold. And I looked at that thing and it was $15. My mother hated guns. I said, I want it. All the way out to the car. Says, well, if you can get it for 10, I'll buy it for you. I had it trapped. I went back in, made an offer, and the woman took mercy on me, sold it for 10. Turned out later to be worth 125. That's known as the first taste of blood.
Yeah. Thanks, Craig. Great to see you
Good to
again.
meet you, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you. What a cool story.
Oh, everybody's got 1,000 of them. Here's like, these booths are Morphy's auction house. They're from Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
They're
okay.
the show hosts. And so they brought out some of the guns that are in one of their upcoming auctions. There you see, you got some Grands.
Let's go
And
look
that,
at one.
and that round here, these is from Collector's Firearms down in Houston, Texas.
So you've been here so much, you just know everybody.
Well, not everybody, but there are a lot of folks here that I'm personal friends with and enjoy their company on a social level as well as a professional one. I mean these are gorgeous.
What are we looking at?
Yeah, Carl Daniel Tanner set of duelers made in Hanover during the King William IV of Great Britain.
So a mechanic pops a hood. He knows he's looking at a 350 Chevy. You can look at this, and I know you're reading some stuff.
Well,
off
yeah,
of
I
it,
can tell you
but
that.
just
Ooh,
the
it's
shape of it and stuff.
like Carson doing his Karnak thing.
Right.
$55,000. Yeah, well, it was written
No,
right
but
there.
I mean, you
But
also-
yeah, you can take a look at something. Quality is quality, no matter where you go. I mean, whether you're looking at a 1,000 count thread sheet, or 10 thread or whatever, you can tell what quality is when you hold it and look at it.
What is the etiquette here at a gun show like this? I don't see
Ask first.
You ask.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody gloved up. So like, here's a
No.
$20,000 pump action. What makes that 20 grand? I mean, it's gorgeous.
The engraving on it, it's gold inlaid.
The wood looks like it's in beautiful
Yeah.
condition.
It's choice wood. It's a 410. So 410s are king in the shotgun world. The lower the gauge, the more money they're worth.
Come take a look at this thing. Look at that. Got the bird dog chasing the pheasant on there. Do you see that, Bennett? Amazing. So you were about to walk us to National Firearms Museum.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like a big shot here.
Oh no,
Everybody trying to buy you drinks and stuff.
I wish. So these are the awards that we give out. There's the E. Andrew Mowbray Trophy for Excellence in Exhibitry. That goes to the best exhibitor overall.
Who
Now,
was he?
E. Andrew Mowbray was the founder and publisher of Man at Arms magazine,
Okay.
which is a bi-monthly magazine that is dedicated towards collectors of guns and swords.
Okay.
And it's NRA's official journal for the gun collecting community.
Okay.
And so Mowbray, he got the ball started. We did name the trophy after him after he passed. And so out of the 1,200 tables here, there are 15 exhibitors that have come from as far away as Maine, to bring their personal collections and display them for the general public.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a big deal.
Yeah, oh, it is huge.
Just packing all that stuff up.
Yeah, it requires a significant investment, of time and resources.
How many people come to the show?
I'd have to ask Cheryl, but I think it's more than a couple thousand. I mean, you got 1,200 just in exhibitors here.
There's so much cool stuff. I'm looking at a blunderbuss, if I'm saying it right.
Yeah,
back
I know,
here.
you're right. Yeah, and today's not open to the public. These are just dealers in here.
Dealers setting up and
Yeah.
getting.
Hey, Bill. This way, Bill.
Bill.
That's okay.
Bill needed to turn his hearing aids up.
Yeah.
Talking about people coming from across the country, I had a client, I'm trying to remember his name. Lewis was his first name. He was an airline pilot in one of his lives. So he goes out and because he travels to these things so much that he bought a very large twin engine plane just so he could easily transport all of his stuff back and forth to these events.
Oh, yeah.
He's now sold it and retired. He's in his 80s, but like just the logistics of it, bringing all this stuff, it's crazy.
Yeah, and
That's
I mean,
crazy.
some of it is priceless. Here, I'll show you something that'll blow your socks off.
I want to see that.
So,
This stuff's crazy.
imagine you're Colt, right?
Okay.
And you've been making revolvers since 1836.
We'll come back and say hi.
Good, yeah. Okay.
You've been making revolvers since 1836.
Okay.
Then one day in the 1870s, you decide, well, maybe I get into handguns. Why not? Right? Or rifles. Rifles. You are in handguns. Sorry.
Yeah. I understand.
Let's get into some pump action rifles. Just down the street from Colton, New Haven, Connecticut, is Winchester. And Winchester's like, we don't need you in our market share. And so Colt was like, what are you going to do about it? Winchester says, well, here. What do you think of our single action revolver?
I never even knew they made such a thing.
Yeah, because there are about 6 of them.
Holy smokes.
And Colt says, yeah, we'll stick to our side of the road, you stick to yours. This is Eric Olson. Eric is the proud owner.
Mickey Schuch.
Nice to meet you.
Let's go shoot him.
So Eric's one of the displayers that has come out to compete for the NRA awards. You can see last year in Dallas, he displayed this for the first time. It one of the only 10 silver medals that the NRA Gun Collectors Committee bestow on all the guns at the annual meetings. Only 10, up to 10. We don't even give out all 10 some years. Up to 10 silver medals are awarded, and Eric got one of them for this.
How did you find it?
This gun came out of a collection in Georgia, and there's not a lot of information. There's some gaps in its history. At one point, it was in the Stagecoach Museum collection, Osborne Clawsted's collection, and we have reason to believe that he acquired it either directly or from somebody that got it through from Tom Mix's estate.
Wow.
And how many Winchester revolvers are there thought to be current?
So that has kind of gone back and forth over the years. I've identified 2 more Winchester revolvers than were previously known. This is all 13 known Winchester revolvers. This is in order that they were manufactured, and of course with their prospective designers. William Mason, who also designed the 1873 Colt Single Action Army, was the designer of this. He designed 3. This gun was likely present at the meeting between Colt and Winchester when Winchester and Colt agreed to stay in their respective lanes. And so this was likely the last, or definitely one of the last Winchester revolvers that were ever manufactured. And that meeting changed potentially the course of American Western history, because if Winchester would have made revolvers, this was cheaper to produce than the Single Action Army was. And Winchester, or Colt, was producing the Burgess lever action, which was highly competitive with Winchester's lever guns. And so if both of those companies had continued to merge into each other's lanes, it very well could have changed the course of American Western history if we would have had a completely different armament.
Yeah.
That's super
Yeah,
cool.
and so this was likely present for that. And then you add on top of it that it went to Tom Mix. And of course it wasn't originally nickeled and engraved. Being a prototype, it was sent to Bolin of Bolin Saddles. and that's where it was nickeled and engraved and put fancy burl grips on it, and then it was presented to Timex because he was flashy. All of his dress and his saddles and holsters was really flashy, and so it was a really unique gun. He was a really unique guy, and it was perfect to kind of be presented to him.
Yeah.
So one of how many?
There's 13 in existence. There's only 6 that are in private hands.
And we don't even have one. They loaned that to us for a number of years. We were proud to display it at our museum in Springfield, Missouri.
So cool. I never even knew. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique
Thanks, Eric.
aspect. Absolutely.
Good to meet
Thanks
you,
for
sir.
Yeah, you as
sharing it.
well. Thank you.
What is that?
So this is Enfield number 1 Mark III Enfield small magazine Lee Enfield SMLE 303. This has got a grenade launcher on it. So the Mark V Mills bomb, you would pull the pin, stick it down there with the spoon still on it. But you pull the pin once you pulled it, got it in.
That's holding the spoon.
That's holding the spoon tight. You'd shoot your blank round. It would go flying across no man's land and then explode.
How far would it go?
I've shot a Coors beer can half full of water, about 50 yards.
Okay.
And because a Coors can will fit
Fits right in
perfectly
there?
down there. And you put about a half a can of water
It's
in
gotta
it
be
to
Coors,
give
it
it
can't
some
be a Busch
balance.
Light.
No, 2 different size diameter cans. And tennis balls also were
Okay.
geometrically perfect for this discharger.
The 303 blank, there's probably a lot of juice behind that.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, there's most of those were wood tip blanks, so they would feed. So you got a lot of, not going to hurt anybody at 10 yards, but it'll put a bruise on the back of the floor plate of Mark V Mills bomb.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you had just gotten here. I'm in amazement. There's freaking cannons down here. You know
Oh,
anything
yeah.
about those?
When I was 14, I was dying to get into something that didn't involve my my dad. And Boy Scouts wasn't doing it for me because he joined my Boy Scout troop. So I thought, well, I'll join a reenactment group.
Oh, I remember you telling me.
Yeah, hey Tim. And so I said, I'm gonna join a reenactment group, and I didn't have enough money to buy a gun, so I couldn't be an infantryman. I didn't have a horse, obviously, so I couldn't be a cavalryman. So I joined the artillery, and since I was 14, this has always been my first love. So if I'm correct, this is an 1835. This is made in 38, but it's a field gun. It's a Napoleon style, gun. Napoleon Bonaparte was master artillerist. That's how he got to be the Emperor Napoleon. Remember the whiff of grape that he fired in 1793, I believe. So this one's actually marked 1838. It's a bronze gun. It was made in Boston. Could have gone into Mexico in 1846, 47, 48. So it definitely could have some provenance to it. A bronze gun like this with a beautiful wooden, carriage and all the accoutrements and implements. I'm just spitballing here, but probably $100,000 to $150,000. Wow. This is an extraordinarily gorgeous, rare bronze gun. It's smoothbore.
Wow, that's so cool.
Now over here you've got a Gatling on a field carriage. And this is an 1890 model in 4570.
Oh, wow.
These boxes, they hold magazines. They're gravity fed. They just, this just pushes them down. There's no springs. And,
How many rounds would this hold when it was full?
That one holds 50, I think.
So it didn't take long to go through 50 rounds.
Not at 600 rounds a minute, it doesn't. Yeah. But you got training, you got guys involved in training. So basically, he pops the lid, throws this in here, and you got one soldier pulling one out and the other one putting one in while the other guy's cranking and firing.
So here's the front sight it's on the side here.
Yeah, because this is the barrel that fires right here.
Oh, okay.
See, when the barrel's in this position is when it fires.
So the operator be here cranking
Yeah.
and have their eye on the
Lining
sight
that up
there?
with that.
And what would you use to
That's
adjust
your
fire?
traverse thing. You unscrew that,
Okay.
and that gives you elevation and windage.
Is it kind of free floating?
Well, it's well balanced.
Okay.
The trunnions here keep it well balanced.
But you could move it around.
Yeah, if you let go, it'll flip up like that, but it's not going to flip over.
Colt's Armory.
Yep, Colt made all of them.
What's something like this worth? 80 bucks?
$250.
$250,000.
Yeah.
That's freaking awesome. Is there something that you've been looking for like your whole life that you haven't that's like within reason to be able to buy that you'd like to get that you haven't seen?
Yeah, there's a Webley Fosbury in the 1200 serial range. That was used by Thursby in Maltese Falcon to kill Miles Archer. And we know the serial number, but we can't find the gun, and there are not that many Fosburys out there.
So we were talking about the machine gun.
What
was
kind
it?
were they?
Yeah, what were they? That you could just go to a
They
store
were-
and pick one up.
They were Browning model 1895, belt-fed, air-cooled machine guns made by Colt. So even though this right here is a Gatling, and
Consecutive to mine.
oh, is it really?
He has one?
No, Mike's got more than one. And they, but Colt made these. So it's a Gatling, but manufactured by Colt. So with the machine guns, they were Brownings manufactured by Colt. Because they didn't have their own
Do
factory.
you think one of them is here after that whole story? Do you think there's one of
Well,
those in the
I'd be
building?
surprised if there's more than one Gatling gun in the whole room.
I meant the machine gun that we're talking about.
Oh, it could pop up. I know the serial number.
I don't mean the exact one. I mean just an example.
Oh, there's a possibility, but not a likelihood.
I'm not seeing too many of that type of.
No, class 3 guns take a little bit more effort to move them.
Yeah. What an amazing story. That's the fun part about all of this. We look at these things, I think, as a neophyte like I am. I don't know much about the history of these things. I can say, oh, it's a Gatling gun. But the stories, which go with everything, cars and houses, and what an amazing story about
Yeah.
that firearm. How many years of digging and reading and researching did it take you to kind of come up with that little 10-minute story?
Oh, on the Gatling's guns, I mean, a while, not like the 2.5-year quest on the Walker Colts, because I had to literally go digging in the back rooms of the archives.
So-
But that's what makes it all fun, is doing the research, putting all the jigsaw puzzle pieces together into one, into one cohesive tale that that makes sense and is verifiable. You can't say, well, they might have, or it more than likely did this. You can't use that. You got to pretend you're a lawyer in front of a judge and jury on this. The provenance has to be airtight. Just like Johnny Cochran said, the chain of custody is what's important.
The bar is open if you need a cocktail. When you walk out that door there, you'll see
11:59. Let's go.
Yeah. Sun's over the yardarm.
Yeah.
Museum curators, I feel, have a trust with the public and with history to present it as factually as possible. Obviously, things change over time. I mean, in medicine alone, we no longer bleed people with leeches, right? We've learned, we've evolved. History, we learned things that we didn't know before become evident. Something else has been discovered. Forensic science is advanced. You can tell whether that mark was put on there and engraved over old engravings, stuff like that. So it's incumbent upon us to present, as Joe Friday said, the facts, man, just the facts. And let people decide for themselves of how to interpret it. But, you know, if I say this was with Roosevelt, I want you to be able to take that to the bank. And with the Walkers, 2.5 years of research, I'm not trying to sound self-aggrandizing or anything. I didn't get a dime for that. That was me trying to make sure the job I did was above reproach, like Caesar's wife, that there's no question about.
All of his analogies, you have to be a history major or be above the age of 50 to a couple of those.
Makes sense.
I like that.
So,
do you ever put an Indiana Jones hat on at night and play Indiana Jones around the
no,
museum?
but my buddy
Come on.
Chris does. Yeah, I have used the line, "I'm just a mild-mannered museum, curator."
With your whip hanging on your side?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But I've had fun with it too, because I got to be an embedded journalist in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Oh, wow.
So I'm wandering around, museum director at large with, getting shot at and fired. And I didn't get to shoot back, but, had a gun and all that. So that was fun.
I did not know that you did that.
Oh, yeah. Well, Winston Churchill once said there's no feeling in life quite as exhilarating as being shot at without result.
I remember reading that.
Yeah, and like the bank robber in Dirty Harry, I gots to know.
Dude, I appreciate you taking the time.
My pleasure,
It's
Mickey.
always
Thank you.
so wonderful to hear your stories. I hope we get to do it again.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a lot of fun. I look forward to it.
Appreciate it, man. You guys, if you haven't been to this show, you should check it out, come out. Or if not, watch this video, share it with your friends, tell people that you love them, and don't be dickheads. Bye now.